The recording has started.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. So go ahead and open up the meeting. The time is 5:03 p.m. If we could have, Commissioner, can you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chair Hans Woodard is absent. Vice Chair Kathleen Belisarios.
Present.
Commissioner Kevin Healy. Commissioner Francine Goodwin.
Present.
Commissioner Yuri Anderson. Here. Commissioner Maria Orozco.
Here.
Okay, that concludes the roll call.
So we'll go ahead and open up, on agenda item number 3, comments from the public. Is there anybody there present? Okay, if you can.
State your name and give us your comment.
Sure.
You have, it's 3 minutes, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Starting now.
Where I stand, or is it?
Whatever you're comfortable.
Okay, well, I'll sit today. Good evening, my name is Amy Salvina. I'm a property manager here in Salinas and as well as a property owner, and I'm a lifelong resident of Salinas. And so I'm here today just because I wanted to express a few concerns. So I want to highlight a recent change regarding Section 8. Despite previously being an asset, it's now become a liability due to certain policies and behaviors. Over the years, I've raised concerns about market rents, the shortage of housing, and the high demand, as well as the impact of housing authorities' actions on raising market rents. Many property owners mistakenly believe the annual payment standards set by the housing authority represent the market rent, leading them to price their properties above Section 8 or at Section 8 levels, thus influencing the market. Currently, we are dealing with the issue of the housing authority attempting to regulate rent. It was stated that they have the authority to determine rent reasonableness, which has led to instances where rent increases at or below market rates are not being approved. Instead, they are being sent back at a lower rent based on their determination rather than market rents. Similarly, tenants are facing challenges when applying for new rents, as those units are not being approved based on the housing authority's rent determination rather than market rents. This situation is causing inconveniences for both tenants and landlords. As a result, it's wasted time and money on application fees and processing. I believe that the housing authority should be transparent to all parties involved when determining market rent. The PHAs must consider factors such as location, quality, size, unit type, age of the unit, amenities, housing services, maintenance, and utilities provided and paid for by the owner. To support this, we provide a list of 3 comparables properties when submitting a request for new tenancy. And this should be updated annually during the process review. If left unaddressed, this situation could lead to tenants displacement, which we all want to avoid. I welcome the opportunity to work together and would like your feedback to discuss further issues. So please reach out to me anytime and then I'll go ahead and do this for you.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that has a public comment? Is there anybody on,
Anybody online? Hearing none.
okay, we'll move on. Okay, we'll go to consent agenda item number 4 on the agenda. Do you want to motion, question? Second. There was a motion by Commissioner Anderson and seconded by Commissioner Orozco.
Vice Chair Kathleen Belisarios.
Yes.
Commissioner Kevin Healy.
I'm saying I was absent.
Okay. Commissioner Francine Goodwin.
Yes.
Commissioner Maria Orozco.
Yes.
Commissioner Yuri Anderson.
Yes.
Okay, that concludes the roll call.
So now we're gonna go to item number 5, reports of committees, beginning with board reports, ad hoc committee. Commissioner Hill.
Yeah, so Commissioner Booter wasn't available for the meeting, but Zuleika and Jonathan and I had a really productive meeting. I thought we made some really tremendous progress in regard to the board reports. And I'm excited about what the future holds. It's still a work in progress, but we've made tremendous strides in a very positive direction.
Great, thank you for that. Okay, the next one is the development ad hoc committee, Commissioner Healy and Orozco.
Mr. Roscoe, would you like to get some?
Sure. We met, I believe it was on May 23rd, and Zulika presented us with a development assessment matrix, just reviewing just the different portions of the matrix and how that will be able to assist us in looking at some of these projects. So it was a very good meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner. And now to the policy committee, and we did meet, and I'm gonna go ahead and let Commissioner Anderson report since we appointed or voted her as the chair.
So the policy committee is a Brown Act subject committee because there are 3 commissioners on it. And as Commissioner Ballstar mentioned, I was elected chair. In our first meeting, we just kind of reviewed what approach we were going to take to reviewing the policies and are looking forward to meeting again. So
Yes.
we'll be bringing those any edits and recommendations to future meetings.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. So now we'll go to item number 6, report of the secretary. Go ahead, Zulika.
Okay. I just wanted to bring out 3 things on the report. One, the HUD compliance review is gonna be July the 10th through the 12th. Initially, we thought they was just gonna be looking at the HCV program, but they're gonna be looking at the entire agency. So they'll come on site, it'll probably be about 8 people total coming from the HUD office. The second thing is the quad EHV audit. The audit was completed and closed out. Our findings were addressed, and so that program is in a very successful state right now. As you know, we don't have any more EHV, but we do continue to get the funding for the vouchers that were issued. And finally, Yardy Rent Cafe. The whole agency is trying to go live so that all our functions are did online. Right now, most of property management has gone live. We got issues with 1 or 2 properties. Finance is live with PayScan, which will let us pay people directly using EFTs and it's kind of get away from all the manual checks. And Section 8 will be the last part to go live. Your representatives will come on site to do the training and do the final implementation. So probably around July, the end of July, the whole agency should be live and all our processes should be able to be there remotely and online. And for the residents that we have or applicants that need assistance, we'll have areas at the sites for them to contact people to help them if they need it. They'll also be able to get assistance here at the front office. And we're gonna make sure some of the areas even have computers for the people who don't have some, so they can use them and just kind of walk them through the process. Because they'll be able to do their certificate online, pay their rent online, they already put in their work orders in online, and we'll be able to pay and stuff online. And have a better monitoring system for the procurement process as well. So it's gonna really change the way that our work flows here, but it should have a very impressive impact. And once we get it, I think we'll probably do a demonstration at one of these meetings. So you can see what it looked like if you're an applicant or a landlord, because the landlords have a landlord portal that they can go in, and if they got a tenant, they'll be able to go in and see certain information. They can put in for their rent reasonable online, all that, even the rafters is gonna be online. So it should help everybody and make the process much faster. And those are the only 3 items I really want to talk about. The other stuff, there's a lot of things that we've been working on, this continually processing in a good direction, but those 3 are major issues.
Does anybody have any of the commissioners have any questions for Zulika? Commissioner Goodwin?
Yeah, and no,
Okay.
no, I'm just waiting for it to be implemented. The computers are in our community room, in the side library room. But nothing's been started yet, of course. But and I know the tenants are ready. They're
Okay.
not- It's okay, they'll live.
Thank you, Commissioner Goodwin. Thank you.
Don't worry about it. They complain about everything anyway. So it's
Okay,
just
so
one more
we-
thing. But thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna go now to new business. It's agenda item 7. And it's resolution 3114, resolution approving the operating budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2025.
Yeah, Mike is gonna present the proposed budget. This presentation is for HACM and HCD. So if you have questions about either side, let's get them out now so that when we get to the HCD meeting, you'll already have hopefully answered any of your concerns. I would like to note that this is the best budget that I've seen produced for this agency said, when we went and looked back in like the last 4 years, Mike really took his time and put all of it together. It's not just based on inflation or the COLAs, it's the actual information. And so we should be able to really kind of stay in line, with it and hopefully surpass it on some of the revenue, but it is very realistic. And so, I wanna just take this time to thank you, Mike, for really putting it together like that for us. And, if you could go ahead and present.
All right. I think one of the overall messages is that I actually have a chart that's not visible here that takes us back to 2023. And if you go and compare what happened in fiscal year 2023 and now compared to what is being projected, we're going from a point in time where we had the agency had at HACM had a loss of almost $2.5 million. This year, we're projecting that it'll be as about $500,000 income. So there's a flip flop over the last several years of almost $3 million positive on behalf of the agency, going from a negative to a positive. So again, that's a tribute to Zuleika's leadership as well as the work that's been done in Section 8 that's helping to raise revenues. So for kind of the next key element, I think would be for HACM, the way we do budgeting here, we have a lot of departments and it can be kind of confusing because we have HDC as its own entity and we have a series of departments that when you roll them up, they basically get referred to as HACM. And when you look up here, we're going to, you can see that the total revenue for HACM is up significantly year to year. The development of the estimate for the Section 8 subsidies that we're expecting to be receiving from HUD based upon voucher increases were developed in conjunction with Section 8 with Jonathan's help. And they show a significant increase over what we're ending this year's forecast at. So you can see there, we're talking 81 million rising up to 95 million. So that's a 17% increase. That's very significant. So of course, HAP payments drive and go in conjunction with the receipt of the money. You have to pay the money. So obviously our HAP payments go up. Our administrative fees, we get more money in, we spend more money out. But if you can go to the next page, we'll find that we're talking about HACM having $480,000 bottom line as compared to this year, which we were forecasting at about 700,000. So it's basically flat year to year. But when you look at all the budgets within Section 8 have been broken out and budgeted individually by all the appropriate responsible parties. We have revenue budgeted again to the appropriate programs. And it's just much cleaner. So I think that Jonathan, the Section 8 department, will be able to follow their progress much easier, and the numbers will make more sense. And as well as we have what I call the headquarters department overhead built in there. We've made provisions for the new program that James has been tasked with by the board to pay for performance. So we have a set aside for that. Of course, we reflect the agreed upon COLA that came through the MOU. All those things are being covered. We have had to absorb this for Yardi for that's all coming and being paid for and brings us to the $480,000, which is basically break even, slightly positive. Section 8 is budgeted intentionally to be in a break even position, so all the money that they receive should be spent. Did you want me to talk about HDC?
Yes, please.
So HDC, our development arm.
Well, wait a minute, Mike, before you go to that, anybody have any questions about HECM before we go to the HDC side or?
mean, I have some general questions.
Okay, you want them to do HDC first, or you want?
Yeah, I think it's probably appropriate to go through, finish the presentation.
Okay. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, so we should have a slide for HTC. I can just speak to it basically. HTC had,
Helpful to have the slide. I'm sorry, I don't. My brain doesn't work that way.
Which slide, Mike?
it's labeled, the proposed operational budget for HTC. Should have been done.
You got copies down there, Mike?
I have my original, like, we need to make copies. Excuse me.
But I'm gonna go make some copies. It must have been in one of those last revisions. Yeah, it's probably on your email that last.
Where's
One I think you sent.
this? Is it?
Is there, maybe this is different, like, is there time sensitiveness to the adoption and approval of this resolution? And I'm not sure. if I'm gonna be happy.
Well, this is the budget for July 1, but since we had just sent it out sometime last week, I felt like that you might want to look at it a little further, and then we could just talk about it, table it, and then do it next month.
That would
That way it give you time to really get into it.
read my mind.
Oh, yeah, because you need more time to kind of get into all the numbers, but
We're talking about an almost $100 million budget with a variance of almost order on $15 million. So I haven't since Thursday at 4:30 when this was emailed, had a chance to digest it, to formulate what I would consider relevant questions.
no, that's fine. That was the intent and purposes of when we sent it out. I think we had put on the email, just so you can have it now, but we can do it in June.
So with relative to making that copy, I would make a motion for.
Okay, so Gabby, let's just make a note to make sure we add in Mike page on HDC and resend it back out in case it wasn't in that email. And then let's just table it and come back to it next month, but let him go ahead and do the presentation, because as you all know, this is Mike's last week. So this will be his last board meeting.
Make sure you give her all the answers to the questions.
I know next month I'm gonna be like, what Mike put on that, but no, we wanted to give you time to really soak it in. This is a huge budget. A lot of the towns can do with Section 8, but it's also talking about the properties and other programs, so you really need to look at it because these changes.
As far as HTC goes, we're all aware that we've been working on getting up to speed on audits, and those audits that had been in arrears had held back payments of monies. And so in the budget for 25, there is a positive reflection of an increase in expectation that we'll receive waterfall payments. Maybe that we know we didn't receive in 24. So we're expecting that HDC would have about a $1.1 million positive bottom line. And that is a nice change from this year's break even. I'd say one of the key things is that we do have 500,000 set aside in pre-development costs. And we have HTC has 2 properties along with the 400 department, which is basically headquarters for HTC. That do have a positive $750,000 bottom line. So the net of those 3 departments results in a 1.1 million. So it'll be a 1.1 million estimate for next year versus basically break even for this year. And I think that's moving in the right direction.
Well, it's from,
The net income line reflects a 3,683.8%.
Well, this,
Favorable variance.
well, you're going from basically 0. So
We're going from negative 30,000 to 1.1 million.
yeah, so I guess we could put in NA if you don't like those large numbers.
Is the 139,909 reflected on the page that I'm looking at, is that accurate, or should that be 1,130,000?
Yeah, it looks like we lost a 1.
So Mike, if you'll add that in, like Gabby, send it out.
Sure.
So I have questions, comments, I think. This is my first time having an opportunity to participate in the review and approval of the HDC's operational budget. And so I guess I need to level set my expectations in other organizations that I've participated, when we are reviewing the budget, we are actually seeing the entire budget versus just the kind of the high level roll up. So I'm not sure if that is typically how it's done here, where we just get this kind of cover sheet without all the departmental departments saying, hey, we're approving all of these things versus just this top line. And I'm used to seeing things that kind of talk about the vision of the organization, the high level goals for the next year that we're looking to accomplish is all part of the budget packet that we're approving. So
Well, this.
I'm not sure what to be expecting.
So, and the housing authority, you can do it two ways. One, you can just have a high level package and have the board look at that and understand that everything that they approve on that falls down to all the supporting programs, documents, stuff like that. That's the way how some boards like to have it. Then other boards do want to have this supporting documentation. When you do that, you have a budget meeting. You have a special meeting where you don't talk about nothing but the budget. The goals and stuff are not included in the documentation, but they are expressed in that type of meeting. This budget that we're doing here, one of the reasons that we did a roll up on it is because we've been catching up all the audits. And so we still fine tuning all of the finances. So the actual budget is about 100 and some pages. And so with us doing that, with the 23 audits still open, that's why we gave the high level version of the budget and then just have a separate meeting just for the budget. Because just, you know, being honest for real, the budget that I think that you really just need to dive into everything and look at everything and start having those budget meetings will be the next year's budget because of all the catch up. Because even with this budget, as much work as Mike put into it and as a thorough job as he's done, it's still probably gonna have to have some revisions once the 23 auditors close out. And so when we had an audit closed out, we're gonna have the auditors come and present and they'll take about the findings and some of the notes and stuff, and then we'll go. So that means we gotta change XYZ on the budget, you know, like that. What you're saying now is like just a high level because we still kind of catching up.
Okay.
And then we setting the tone for how the board wanna receive these types of things in the future. Because like I say, normally, well, it depends on the board members, but I like to have just a budget meeting where we get together and we don't talk about nothing but the budget. But with everything that we had going on here, and then just trying to meet all of the deadlines with HUD and all of that type of stuff, we just did a roll up.
Okay, that's really helpful because, you know, I think the budget is the best expression of our policy direction. And as a policy board, like that should be the thing that we're digging into the most. And I can appreciate if we're saying we're still working to get to that place. And I hope that that next year, from my perspective, it would be great to have a budget workshop where we just talk about that. Because I also wonder, do we have any sort of statutory requirement to hold a public hearing on our budget? Or is it just this open public meeting is sufficient to do that? And this is all based on, you know, other.
Yeah, I
other
know we
places I've
have the municipality stuff, but no, the housing authority rules, as long as the board is the only people that have to look at the budget and pass it. So the way that it works, the finance director and their team get together, they meet with all the directors and everybody put their input in, they request whatever they want and make their little fantasy wish list. Then,
You guys out.
oh yeah, so look, let's go tell the real process, they get on there and they want all this stuff. And so then the person in my position try to, you know, calm down a little.
Crushes
Yeah, because, you know, then he turn around and he come and he had to present it to me. And I pull out the old red pen, you know, and we working out to something that's actually gonna work, but also create reserves and savings. And like even with the yard, he mentioned about how much yard is, it's very expensive, but to put money to the side for that. So we had goals that work in line with that. And then once me and Mike agree, or whoever the new finance person is, then that's when it comes to the board. These budgets really should come out in March because we have a July 1 fiscal year, but because everything been behind, we could have gave you a budget in March, but it would have been very unrealistic. So that's why this one is like this. I mean, this is good though. I don't take away from all the work Mike did. This is really good. It's just that we're not at the position that we should be at yet to have like the in-depth budget meeting that we would want to have.
Okay.
So like next year, before the end of March, you should have the budget to look at it. So you get it in March, you look at it all the way to the April meeting. We have the April meeting, tad up, agree on it, whatever, and then come back at least by May and approve it. So that we got at least 60-day window for it to go into the audit. Because when this one get approved, they also gotta put it in yardage, so that when our fiscal year start in July, it'll be set to go, so we won't have a lot of retro items that we have to do.
I think that there's need to develop budget tools that don't exist today. That already how to basically budget within the Yardi tool. We have to do it all out in Excel. So in a perfect world, you could take actuals and then you could create forecasts, divide by 8, multiply by 12, that type of thing. And have line by line comparison. But that's very difficult for us in the current condition to do. So we have backup for every number. It's just in a format that doesn't lend itself to being able to be combined and presented. It's not a budget tool,
No.
budget presentation tool. So that'll be one of the challenges for the next director is how do I get from being able to scrub numbers, but then be able to present them in a manner. There are people out there that have approached me saying, we can sell you, right, a tool that does exactly what I said, and also takes all of your long-term planning, wish list items and so forth, and they can combine them in that one tool, and you get a holistic
But
result.
we are working towards that. We just doing a lot of cleanup right now. And so as we clean, we find things, we move things around, we make adjustments. And so for this budget, like I say, we didn't want to just turn in a budget and say, 3% inflation across the board or something. It was like, let's really look at it and make it as useful a tool as possible. But really the best one would be 2025.
So
And then I have another question, just in terms of what to expect and how it looks. It looks like we have a statutorily not balanced, but positive budget because we have net income in both agencies at this point. And is it typical that we would have net income, and is there a policy around what that income can or can't do? Or should we have a budget where our operating expense and our planned revenue equals 0?
No, we don't have to equal 0. We do need to have net income on both of them. And I think since you said that, what we probably need to do, we need to have a board meeting. Well, all of us going to that commissioner training, but we could have a special meeting and then I could just go through like how HACM income work and what the rules is on that and how we get because we have federal money and then we have unrestricted money. And then HDC have money and it's unrestricted money, most of it anyway, to kind of show like where it comes from and what it can be used for. But we should never just break even and be at 0. We should always
Have a
yeah.
positive income.
But we wouldn't necessarily have a policy on it because it's kind of hard to predict because the HUD money changed according to whatever Congress set for the year. And then HDC is based on the developments and the waterfalls. So we can have a general idea to make sure that we have enough operating expense, but it'll be hard to say, maintain a certain level.
Are all of those sorts of assumptions codified somewhere where if there was like a budget book that it's like, these are the assumptions that this budget was based on? That don't necessarily change from year to year other than the dollar amounts, but like, we will work within the appropriation to our community through Congress, all of those sorts of things.
All the HUD stuff be in the 24 CFR. So, and this.
So if we can just reference something like that.
Yeah, it's huge. You go in there and you be like 24 CFR 982 2.5. And then it'll tell you specific, this is the rule for PBBs, this is what you can't do. So each one of them, they have a lot of HUD rules and regulations that go behind them. And like we know it, but y'all might not necessarily know, but when we go to the commissioner training, that's one of the things that they go into, like how the housing authority finances work, just an overview of it. And most of the time, you're not gonna see that in the budget. You're just gonna see whatever the.
Yeah, I know.
actuals are.
I wouldn't necessarily expect it, but to see it, but I think that like for the organization, for the commissioners to know that the direction from the board is, we are going to adhere to the policies that are outlined in X, Y, and Z, whatever, like that's the high level direction that the board is giving when there are assumptions being made about developing the budget. I don't know if that's.
Well, when we do the commissioner class, like I say, they talk about it, it's one of the topics they do.
Okay.
And then also, we got this contract with BDO, so I can always have them come and set up something. We just need a special meeting. Like anything that the board wanna know or questions about, I always can set up a special meeting. And what I like to do, so it's just not what I say all the time, it's me and whoever is an expert in the field. So that way you getting it from both parties to kind of get the whole picture, cause I might leave somebody on accident or whatever. to make sure that you understand how all this stuff works. Cause it's hard to be a commissioner, you got an agency making $100 million, and you wanna make sure that money's being spent appropriate. Which Section 8 is a wash, so I'll tell y'all that now, whatever money they get, all of it is gone back out except for like 10%, and that 10% gone, cause that's the staff costs and stuff like that. A lot of people look at the Section 8 money and think, oh, we got so much money. No, for real, you don't, cause you have to spend it all. But HDC and HACM is where the money come from, the property management and the developments, that's where we get our money from. So that's what we have to really drill down and pay the most attention to, so, cause if that starts suffering, the agency won't make it.
As we're thinking about moving up to potentially tabling this particular item, I'm not sure how everyone else looks at this kind of information, but I tend to focus initially on the variance column, right? And my kind of cursorial review begins with the variance column, and anything that jumps off the page at me, so to speak, is something I would want to drill down on. And just looking at these packets of information, there are several columns in the variance category that I think any reasonable person would say, wait a minute, 100% variance to budget, the performance of last year, why? And I was just thinking in terms of receiving the information and the background information and additional pages that Yuri was referring to in the intervening period before the next meeting. I'm a bit concerned that my level of questions regarding diligence around the information is voluminous.
Yeah, cause you're gonna get all these pages and
And, why is 70% variance to budget on tenant revenue? Why is, total revenue for HDC doubling? I can just see a very, very long list of questions that I would like to have the answers to, and maybe we could
kind of
head
drill
that
into
off
some
at
of
the
that.
pass by having that review happen amongst the two of you or whoever is available to kind of look at that through that lens and try to pre-answer the questions that any reasonable person might be asking.
Yeah, cause we can do that, cause me and Mike already know the answers to that, why it's like it is. And not to go into too much, but some of it is lawsuits that don't exist anymore, things like that. So that money came back in house. When we have our board meetings, these last couple of meetings, I've been telling you about money that we discovered that should have been in other places. So that made an item go up that normally wouldn't be up because the money previously was thought they had restrictions, stuff like that. So that's why the variances kind of seem out of whack. But it's really because everything being placed back where it should go, and some of the other losses have been mitigated. So we don't have those for the last year.
I think to whatever degree that you and Mike or you can do that kind of pre-analysis, it will save the amount of questions and detail that we'll need to put into it, and hopefully shorten that period of time so that we can come to, or at least me, I can come to a comfort level at our next meeting to be able to potentially meet with them.
That's not a problem.
Commissioner Goodwin, do you have any questions?
I was on mute. No, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll work on that, and then I sent somebody this,
Thank you, Mike.
look, or no later than Monday, cause y'all know my baby graduating. Friday, but I have it to y'all by Monday.
Do you need a second for your?
Oh, yeah, officially make the motion or decide to be tabled to the next meeting.
I'll second that motion.
And that one was, it was the resolution, right?
7-8.
New business seven.
Okay, Vice Chair, Kathleen Bellis,
Yes.
yeah, Commissioner Kevin Healy,
Yes.
Commissioner Francine Goodwin,
Yes,
Commissioner Maria Orozco.
Yes.
And Commissioner Yuri Anderson.
Yes.
Okay.
We're gonna go now to number 8, information on the agenda and starting. Are they gonna go through it or they?
No, just
anybody
one
has?
thing.
Okay, go ahead.
So for the human resource report, James, if you could just tell them about the Inspire certifications for staff related to HACM, and that's it.
Yeah, so we, the staff, both property management and also HCV department kind of went through the Inspire training. They're also going to be doing the certification that is essential to get them certified with any of the updated regulations and things that are needed. That should be happening within the next 2 weeks roughly. So we are scheduling that as for this month as well. And then for the HACM, as we are also having updated training that's going to be rolling out for that as well.
And I'm sorry, James, about the employee spotlight.
Oh, yes, and that one's a big one. Next to me is Myra Zazadi. We want to kind of spotlight her and recognize her for her contributions. Myra has been the asset manager, when she actually came with us, she was a property manager first, then went to asset manager. And then she kind of moved around like a chess piece through HACM's organizational structure, and she helped out HCB, and now she's back at asset manager, and helping out the property management team. So congratulations from her, we recognize that employees follow.
And then, I will skip down to item D, the development report. Laura, can you tell them a little about the service coordinator grant that we just applied for?
Yes, we just submitted last week, the service coordinator grant application for two of our properties. The properties that met within the qualifications to apply were for Cola Vista and South County Rad. So it's to fund a position at the site to provide services to the residents. We applied for a full-time position at Cola Vista because of the amount of units at that site, a full-time position at Greenfield Los Ositos, and a part-time position at Santa de Oro, the 2020 units. So we're waiting to hear, hopefully we'll get it here with a response from them. We plan to have a full service program there to provide services and meals and activities for the residents. Right now, they have a program where it's shared with another property, so it doesn't have its own dedicated service coordinator, and we're trying to produce that at the sites.
Thank you. And Jonathan, for the housing program report, if you could just speak on the solar units, since we have hit 4,000 vouchers.
Yes.
And you can introduce your two people.
Yes, total vouchers, we're at 4,000. That is still short of what our goal is by the end of the year. We will work diligently to put those vouchers on the street and get our utilization up between 90 and 95% towards the end of the year. Fingers crossed. And I lost Myra Zazadi and was able to gain another Myra Macias, a longtime employee that has been promoted to full-time permanent housing programs supervisor, and Rosada Sierra is our analyst. And I have been impressed with the work that they have done so far, and I am excited that they were able to overcome our interview process to get the job full-time.
Thank you. For the property spotlight, we did Portola Vista this time. We did get some comments via email from the chairman that we're going to incorporate into the spotlight, so you might see a revised copy next month, just to put a little more transparency on it. But this property is in Monterey. It's an elderly site, and it is funded by a HUD contract for Section 8. So HUD actually sent a voucher, and every month, based on our occupancy, they send us the money that the 70% of the rent that the tenants don't pay. It's kind of like red, but it's not red, but it's very similar to a red property. But like I say, we'll add a few more little comments on there, and anything that any of the commissioners want to see on these properties, if y'all can just email it to us, because we want to make sure that we have everything in there to kind of answer any of your questions. One of the things that was brought up was putting the latest financial information on the property. We put what it was annually for the last audit to kind of show what happened. Because technically it's in the finance report that you already get, but we can break it out and add it, because we also don't want to have a lot of pages, you know. And that's one thing we'll just add to the next one. But this is a really pretty site. It's doing very well. It's kind of hard for a potential rad well, but it's doing really well. And the next time, I think I kind of was gonna go off into the rad property, but I thought it might be a little too much right now. So I don't know, we might just go right into them next to kind of piggyback off of this one, because they'll have some similar things. But unless you have questions about any of the reports or the property spotlight, then we can go to the record spotlight for James, unless you all have any questions.
I just wanted to make a comment. The Portola Vista facility apartments are they're next to the wharf, and they're in a wonderful location. And my mother used to live there, actually. And it's a wonderful apartment complex, and we're lucky to have it. We're blessed to have that. It's one of the better ones, actually. And so anyway, it's a great place to live. My mom really enjoyed it when she was living there. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to offer my compliments to Jonathan and James. I mean, we're doing a lot of work in the background and we're doing the reporting structure and information that's conveyed and it shows in the professional.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you.
Well, James, you ready to do your director spotlight?
Yes, since I'm the first one I got elected for this month, so
Yeah.
please bear with me.
Good one to start out with.
Yes. So, well, good evening, members of the board.
Oh, you wanna go to the podium?
Oh, you want me to go to the podium? I did actually write something, so please, as I look up and down. So for those who do not know me, my name is James Cabrera, and I'm the Director of HR for the Housing Authority of the County of Monterey. I'm honored to be the first director in our monthly board meeting, and I would like to urge my peers in the room to kindly take notes as I lead by example. My journey with HACM began in July 2021. When I joined as an HR payroll specialist. In March 2022, I left HACM to take on a role as a director of HR for an agency serving those adults with disabilities. However, my commitment to HACM's mission and the people drew me back here. And I started back here in August 2022, and I returned as an HR admin assistant. And then within a week's period, I was appointed as an interim director of HR. From that point, by March 2023, I transitioned to the permanent role as director of HR. So a little background, kind of my little experience from here. When I started HACM, the one thing that has stood out to me was the culture within HACM and the need for change. One of my reasons for choosing to work in the HR field was to have the ability to affect and impact. And with the unwavering support and leadership of Zulika and the rest of the executive team, we have made significant progress over the past year. Since then, we have resolved numerous employee relation matters, mitigated potential risks, strengthened our relationships with external partners, and created and fostered a sense of community within HACM. As I diligently on making HACM a great place to work, just for everyone. And as Drake once said, started from the bottom, and now we're here. Since then, we have, well, going back to my leadership style, it's deeply rooted in collaboration and inclusivity, right? Collaboration is one of the heart of my approach. I strive to ensure that every employee's voice is heard and it matters. I believe that the best solution and innovations come from working together and leveraging the unique strengths of each individual within HACM. Inclusivity is another cornerstone of my leadership. I'm committed to building a workplace where everyone feels welcome, respected, and able to contribute to their fullest potential. This involves not only promoting diversity in our hiring practices, but also foster an inclusive culture that supports ongoing professional development and personal growth. As we look into the future for HR, we've set several strategic goals to support HACM's overall mission. And that is enhancing the employee's experience from start to finish, which we aim to create a seamless and enriching employee journey. This includes implementing diversity initiatives that we actually need to have here to ensure that we continue to foster an inclusive culture and workforce. Leveraging and embracing technology, which we have done with Paylocity and Yardi, to advance and streamline processes to improve data-driven decision-making, strengthening leadership development by creating and launching leadership training programs to build strong pipeline for future leaders of HACM and those coming on board. This also includes a formalized career pathing program to help employees navigate their career progression within HACM. And last but not least, promoting employee well-being by rolling out a comprehensive wellness program to support employees' mental and physical health. I'm excited about the future of HACM and the opportunities that lie ahead. And I again thank you for the spotlight for this month and allowing me to share my limitless journey with HACM. So thank you. It's going to be reflected on my review this year, so please share.
Anybody have any questions?
Continue the good work.
Very well.
Try. Thank you.
You set the bar very high.
Very
right out of the gate.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I agree. Good bar. I was kind of I appreciated what you were saying about like what drew you back and recognizing there's a need for change and wanting to work on that. I think that's really great. And as I was kind of making notes, I was like, okay, scope of department, what are the goals, what accomplishments, needs for improvements? You kind of hit all the high points for me. The thing I didn't hear, like how many employees are in HR? what's the average longevity of the employee?
So we have a massive team of two.
Okay.
And that's myself and my admin, I'm Daniel Reyna. But we, not only just work for the house, work for the team, right? The employees. I think a lot of the things that was going through my little speech was being there for them and for the employees within here. I think that was a big thing here, that everyone was kind of divided. I just spoke to Nora last week, just saying that the culture has shifted and in a positive way. And that's something that is motivating me to do more for this agency. And that's what I love to do. And your heart's there. So my heart's there. Salika's heart's there. So now we're just shifting the rest of the team to come on board with us.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I do want to say, James, that I remember a time, I guess Commissioner Hilly could attest, we knew that there was a lot of, things that we didn't see because we're not here on the day-to-day, routine here at the agency, but we're happy to see, the accomplishments that are happening and all the changes. Change, sometimes some people can't adjust to it, but it takes time. And the time has now come, we're, able to have those conversations that before you couldn't even, because you would feel the hostility.
Yeah.
I mean, even us, when we would come to meetings, we would, feel like, there was tension, but now we don't feel like that. There's a welcoming, environment. So thank you. And to all the, to all the people that are on the team here, every employee. Every person does matter. And even those, times where seasons come and, you gotta have those discussions, and also the training, having those trainings really helps. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Commissioner Goodwin, do you have any questions or add something for James?
No, I just wanted to thank him for his report. It was very concise. And he's doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, congratulations.
So now we will go to item 9 of the agenda, closed session. The Board of Commissioners will meet in closed session for the following purpose and reason. A government code section 54597. This section permits closed session discussion of certain matters relating to public employment, including personnel matters, evaluation, and disciplinary actions.
Okay.
Okay, we are returning back into open session, and we have nothing to report out of closed session, government code section 54597. So now I will go to item 10, commissioner comments, and we'll start with Commissioner Goodwin.
No comment.
Thank you. Commissioner Orozco?
I just want to once again congratulate my retired employee. Yeah. Spotlight, and also to our first director, James. Congratulations again. And I meant to make a comment when we were doing the report on the human resources report, but there was the Narcan training that was done. We did something similar in Gonzales with some students, and about 2 weeks ago, one of them used his training and saved a young gal just because he had been at that training. But I attended that same training, but so those are very valuable trainings. I think that everybody can benefit. But once again, thank you again.
Thank you. And Commissioner Anderson?
No comment.
Commissioner Haley?
Thanks to Mike and to James and Nora and Jonathan and Alicia and all the staff. I continue to be impressed with the positive trajectory of our meetings and the reporting.
Thank you. So my comment is, I'm gonna try to do it in 1 minute. Congrats to Myra. Congratulations, and also to the other Myra, Macias and Rosado Sierra. Congrats to you, James. Great job.
Thank you.
And also, I just wanted to share, I went to, it was called the Draft Housing Element 6 Cycle Update. It was a public meeting. I went to it last Thursday. I was invited by Supervisor Alejo because I'm appointed by him in his district. So I just said, you know what, I have time, I'm gonna go. So what it was they presented that they wanna prepare, or they're getting ready for development in the county of Monterey. I think the area that they are looking at is South County. They also mentioned that they will be going over discussing the budget tomorrow at 9 a.m. And there was some comments from the public stating, how can they be present at that meeting because they're working? And they were trying to ask, they were addressing that to supervisor level, why can't they do it in the evening, 5:30, 6 o'clock? So there was kind of some, people expressing their opinion. Also too, there was different agencies there present expressing their concerns. I know there was somebody from Monterey Peninsula, believe it was COPA, that were there, and there was some other agencies, people that were present, they got to voice their opinions. And I got really touched because there was this one single parent trying to pay her rent, and I believe her rent is $4,500 for a home. And she says she has to make a decision, is she gonna pay her rent or is she gonna buy food? And there was another couple, he had just lost his job. And he says that between him and his wife, they make 30,000 a year. They're both are ag workers. And he says, where are they gonna go? They got a notice that they needed to vacate. And that was one of the things that came up was rent control. They were asking, is anything being addressed through the county? And then the last thing that was said, why was there nobody from the city present at the meeting? Nobody from the city. Whether it was city council members or anybody from the city was not present, and somebody addressed that. How come if you're partnering with the county, we're the city representation? So I really enjoyed this meeting. It was a privilege for me to be there and just to give you back, some of the things that were brought up. And I plan to go to more when they have another one. They will notify by email. So I'm willing to share. I know I let Zalika and Hans know that I was gonna go. And so I'll let you know when there's another one, if any of you are interested in going. It's just, it touches my heart because there's a lot of people that, are affected about housing.
If I can add a little color to that, so as a county employee in my day job, I have been reading the draft housing element. And the planning commission is having a special workshop on June 5th to follow up on their initial workshop where they're going to be talking about the policies and opportunity sites. It's a good chance for the public to give input into where the county has identified potential like sites that are resourced for development. And then the board of supervisors was supposed to be meeting on the 6th, but staff is recommending that meeting be tabled until until June 11th, so that the planning commission can have their special meeting and that feedback can be given. So there's a little bit more time for the community to review the plan and to give input. I was reading the section on community engagement today. And one thing I noticed that when the county was outreaching to housing development organizations, the housing authority was not mentioned once as an organization that they consulted with about the needs or experiences of housing in our community. And so I think it's a broad oversight. It's an opportunity for this organization to say, hey, don't forget about us. And then I think also just a recognition that, we have potentially lands that we own that are considered in developable areas may have been identified as opportunity sites or may not have that. I just want to give it. So I appreciate you going and bringing it up because it's a very important planning document. It's going to guide development at least for the next 8 years. And then the sites that are ultimately listed as opportunity sites in this one, if they aren't developed within this next 8-year cycle, they become by right development locations throughout the county. And right now the plan calls for potentially over 10,000 units. It seems like there's an over reliance on moderate and above moderate income units in this. And, I think there's a real conversation needed about like focusing and prioritizing on affordable housing.
Yeah. And mostly all the agencies that were there, they vocally said they need affordable housing.
Yeah. That's clear to the public comment. I'll look again through that.
Okay, so we'll go ahead. I think that's it, right? I got all the commissioners. We'll go ahead and close the meeting, and I believe the time is 6:35. Thank you, everyone. And now we're gonna go into HDC.
We ready?
Ready, Ms. McLean?
Okay, HDC, development, meeting, for the Monterey, County Housing Authority Development Corporation. We're starting at 6:35. Meeting's opening at 6:35. And, Zalika, if you could, do the roll call, please.
Okay, Chair Francine Goodwin,
Present.
Vice Chair Yuri Anderson. Here. Excuse me, Director Kathleen Bellisaros.
Present.
Director Hans Buller is absent, Director Maria Orozco,
Present.
Director Kevin Hill.
Present.
Okay, that concludes the roll call.
Thank you. Comments from the public?
Anyone online? Hearing none?
Thank you. Item number 4, consent agenda. Items consent agenda are considered routine, therefore do not require separate discussion. However, if discussion is necessary, or if the member of the public wishes to comment on any item, the item may be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Questions for clarification may be made by directors without removal from the consent agenda. The consent agenda is adopted in one motion. With tables from last month's meeting. Item A, minutes, approval of the minutes of special board meeting held on March 12th, 2024. And item B is minutes approval of the minutes of regular board meeting held on March 28th, 2024.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I didn't catch who. First, second.
Kathleen, seconded by Maria.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, new business, HDC.
I'm sorry. Wait a minute, roll call.
You need your roll call. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Chair Francine Goodwin,
Yes.
Vice Chair Yuri Anderson,
Yes.
Director Kathleen Bellisaros.
Yes.
Director Buddha is absent, Director Maria Orozco.
Yes.
And Director Kevin Hill.
Same for those absent for this one.
Okay, that concludes the roll call vote.
Okay, item 5. New business. Item A, HDC/MDC 235, resolution approving the operation budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2025.
This item is connected to the budget for for HACM, so somebody could request to table it.
I'd like to make a motion as we did in the HACM meeting for this HDC budget, that it be tabled with the same similar comments to the ones from the HACM meeting.
I second.
Okay, so item has been tabled.
Yes, ma'am. It was motioned by Kevin and second by Ms. Kathleen. And so I'll do the roll call vote for you.
Okay.
Chair Francine Goodwin,
Yes.
Vice Chair Yuri Anderson,
Yes.
Director Kathleen Bellisaros,
Yes.
Director Maria Orozco.
Yes.
And Director Kevin Hill.
Yes.
Okay, that concludes the roll call vote.
Thank you. Okay, item 6 is director's comment. Let's see, let's start with Director Healy.
No additional comments. Thank you.
Okay. Director, Arcozo?
Thank you. Just, wanted to add my congratulations and my thank yous to Michael for your service to the Housing Authority. Thank you.
Okay, Director Buder is not with us. Director Ballesteros?
I did all what Commissioner Roscoe said, and thank you to the staff.
Okay, Director Anderson? And I just want to thank everybody for all the information and all the hard work that everybody is doing to improve the agency. as a whole, it's come 180 degrees in a positive direction. And, I'm proud to be part of this agency now. It's come a, it's come a long way. Thank you. And, Zulika, thank you for, your leadership. Okay, that's all. Okay, adjournment. It's at 6:40 and we will see you, next meeting, if not sooner.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good evening, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.